all for play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hello, Aston Villa fans, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. I wanted to come on and chat to you guys today about Yann Bisseck, somebody that was, like as I said, there was a potentially spurious link. It came from Italy. It came from Gazzetta.it in Italy today. Was regurgitated by numerous accounts afterwards, which at times can kind of lend people to thinking that there's massive amounts of credibility in the rumors. But the reason that I wanted to pop on and talk about this guy is he's somebody that I have had on a list of centre halves here in front of me, that doesn't look like they're getting game time at the requisite amount of game time that they feel they deserve at their current club. And to be honest with you, I just wanted to kind of take a look at him and see, I've been, look, obviously he's not any secret. He's playing for Inter Milan. He got to the Champions League final this year, and he's been playing the Club World Cup as well. So like it's not a massive. It's not, I think he has anyway. Inter have, yeah. It's not he's not a massive secret or anything like that. But it seems at times that potentially he's been underutilized or underused by Inter. He's a 24-year-old German centre half. Basically, like, he's known for defensive solidity and also known for popping up and scoring goals. He's got a pretty good goal scoring record over his career. He's 11 goals over his career as well. A lot of his strengths will include things like aerial dominance. He's a big boy, 6'4.5". He's a pretty accurate passer as well, and very versatile in how he plays. He's played well. I say he's very versatile in how he plays because he's mostly played as a right centre back in the back three for Inter. He has played he started off with Cologne, first of all. He was born in I think it was the 29th of November 2000 in Cologne. And he actually got some game time for Cologne. And then he ended up moving, going on loan to Holstein Kiel. He actually got game time as a 16-year-old for Cologne. He went then and moved to Holstein Kiel and Roda JC. And then he actually moved fully to AGF in the Danish Superliga, and that's where Inter found him. And Inter signed him from there for 7 million or so, plus bonuses and plus add-ons or whatever, in July 2023. And since then, he's gone on to play. Sorry, here I'm actually going to get the correct number of games he's played for Inter. He's gone on to play 66 matches, starting 41 matches for Inter, and that's in all competitions. So it's not as if he's gone to Inter and hasn't played. He has played quite a lot of games. In his first season with Inter, he played roughly 21 games. And this season just gone, he played much more. He played 39 plus 6 is 45 games for Inter. So he played 45 games for Inter last season. All in all, when we talk about that, he's played 3,929 minutes for Inter. You know, he's played 9,500 minutes in his career. And so when I talk about this guy probably being underutilized, I mean that, like, he needs to move, I think, at this stage to be playing full-time football. I mean, he might get that at Inter as well, with new coach coming in, with Christian Kivu coming in as well. Obviously, Simone Inzaghi has moved on. Will Kivu play that back three once more? I don't know what the situation is there. Not sure. And that will all be to be told. Are Inter going to run on? Are they going to be able to turn down 35 million for somebody who is considered, I suppose, their fourth centre half? amongst that team. Are they going to be able to turn that down? I don't know, because the rumored amounts are that, Man United, West Ham, and ourselves are in for him for in and around 35 million euros. So it's an interesting kind of profile of a player to look at, from his intangibles with regards to his height, his strength, his speed, which are like, they just jump off the page, to be honest with you. His height, his strength, his speed, and also the fact that he's played a decent amount of games for Inter at a high level, last year. But the flip side in that is he's mostly been playing in a back three. Obviously, Villa, as we know, aren't in a back three unless something massive changes over the off season. And what I suppose the big elephant in the room there is what happens to Ezri Konsa if this guy comes in, because, well, as we will see in a moment, this guy is Ezri Konsa, except he's 6'4". And I think look, once again, what's better than having one Ezri Konsa, having two Ezri Konsas? But both Ezri Konsas here will be fighting for the same position unless we move Konsa out to right back, which isn't beyond the realms of possibility, as well. So, let me bring up some statistics on him here, I suppose, and we take a look at him. I'm just gonna, so there he is. There's Yann Bisseck. There, as I mentioned, he is German, 6'4.5", right-footed, born the 29th of the 11th, 2000, as well. Interesting to look at his heat map there, and the reason I say there's interest in that is because a lot of people, when this news broke, there was a lot of people speculating, would he come in to play right back? Now, look, I suppose putting square pegs in square holes and square pegs in rhombus holes, I suppose you could say, if you were to put him out right at back, he can. You can see there he can cover that area to go out and play maybe right wing back or right back as well. But do you really want somebody who's 6'4.5", who's really good at heading the ball, playing out at right back, when Ezri Konsa has played out there, or when we've got right backs in the team already? So could he play out there at right back? Yeah, maybe he could. The reason that his heat map here, the reason people have been saying it, is that his heat map here shows it also. If you look at SofaScore, it says he can play at right back. I went back through all the match logs for this guy on the scouting tools. None of them have him down. None of them have him down as playing 90 minutes at right back. Sometimes he's down as playing as a wing back at times. I think that was in 3 games total in his whole career. So can this fella play right back? Well, look, he's able to get out to the touchline and get and get tackles in. Why would you want him playing right back, I suppose, is the big question here. He's probably going to be a centre half if he comes in here. So his strengths and weaknesses just basically jump off the page there. You can see it's a lot of people as well. I'd often get DMs here going, "Oh, I don't know about this player and that player because they don't have an awful lot of tackles in 90 minutes." When you're playing with a ball-dominant team, when you're playing with a team that dominates their league, such as Inter, such as likes of PSG, such as likes of Juventus, even when you look at guys for Man City, they don't make a lot of tackles because they own the ball. So it's a kind of a false narrative, I suppose, to think that. So when you look here, his amount of tackles per 90, it comes in as under 1 tackle. Now, when you watch this guy play, watch 4 of his games today, between today and I've watched games of him before. So when you watch him play, he's very much a stand-up tackler. That is also reflected in the amount of blocks he has, the amount of interceptions that he has here. So you notice that in his game, that if you just look at statistics, you can turn somebody into being, like, if you just look at statistics, you could look at this guy and go, doesn't make enough tackles for me, don't think he's very good at defending. Look at his tackle numbers. That means he isn't a good defender, which is complete and utter nonsense. Obviously, this guy stays on his feet, blocks a lot of shots, gets his interceptions in there. And as we can see there, that he's at 68.4% percentage of dribblers tackle success rate as well, which for a centre half is actually really really good because centre halves don't obviously want people dribbling at them. Obviously, playing as a right centre back in a back three, he's had that and he stood up to it admirably as well. But the big thing that I want to look at here is the amount of challenges lost comes in at only 0.24. Which has him in the top 13% in all of Europe's top 5 leagues. So he's an assured tackler. He's a stout defender. He's going to get his big body. He knows how to use his big body, gets it in the way, gets those gets those legs in there, doesn't have to go to ground, doesn't take himself out of the game, and doesn't commit too many fouls as well. Doesn't commit too many fouls. He's within the top 40% of defenders in Europe's top 5 leagues for not giving fouls away as well. And obviously, look, as we can see there, his aerial duel success jumps off the page. Also, what is really interesting for this guy is his pass success. Obviously, once again, when I talk about the tackle success and stuff like that as well, these figures will be skewed slightly from the point of view that he's in a more ball dominant team, but that's also a positive to look at as well. Does he deal well with workload? What's the is he one of these players that's tasked with getting the ball? Is he an assured teammate whereby people will pass him the ball? Is he okay with receiving passes as well? And what we can see here is very much so that pass attempts coming in at just under 65 per 90 minutes, completing 90% of those as well. Very, very miscontrols could be a bit better, and you can see that on screen as well when you watch him as a 24-year-old, a big guy. He does have kind of heavy feet when the ball comes to him at times, but they don't translate into errors. I think I only saw one error, and that was against Lazio, and actually I think he ended up handling the ball in that game if I remember rightly. Which so that wasn't even an error with his feet, and I think he gave away a penalty in that game for it. But you can see the amount of passes he receives, and his progressive passes are quite high. So this guy's good with the ball at his feet. So when I'm talking about somebody being commensurate to Ezri Konsa, what I want to do is take a look at this here. And if we take a look at the radial graph here, this is against fullbacks, because as I said, people will talk about him playing fullback because he can go out there. And look, I don't really think his profile suits that. Does maybe from a passing point of view, but I want this guy in the center half position, because I don't want him to be isolated out there and not have to do the aerial work. And I know people will say that when we're in possession, we tuck in with a back three, and our fullback tucks in. I would much prefer that tucking in fullback to be Ezri Konsa if that was the case, because he's just a more rounded fullback, I think, from watching these players as well. So if we move on here and we look at how he pans out against the centre halves that we have here, we can see there's a clear improvement in certain areas. Last year we struggled in the air when Tyrone Mings wasn't in the team. Now, it's interesting to see here that Ezri Konsa actually had a better aerial duel rate here, but we knew that Pau Torres was poor in the air for aerial duels. Now, if we get to a situation next year whereby we have to take Pau Torres out of the team, or maybe Tyrone Mings is outplaying him, and we have Tyrone Mings in there, and we need somebody who can start attacks from defense. Well, when we look at these progressive pass numbers, the pass percentage numbers and so on here, when we compare both Yann Bisseck and Pau Torres together here, if we need to play Tyrone Mings in at left centre half because he's the best performing left centre half at that stage, well then maybe you play Yann Bisseck in there beside him as that right sided centre half, because his passing ability is commensurate. It's not as good. I have to say that, but it's commensurate to Pau Torres. So what that would allow us to do is it would lessen the amount of effect that it would have. Now, this guy is also really, really fast. So having himself and Tyrone Mings in that back line allows us maybe to play that higher line, maybe play a small bit higher. Now, I know that the high line issue, or the lack of high line this year, was dictated by changing rules and stuff, but maybe if we needed to do that, this guy, Bisseck's covering pace is immense. It's really, really good. So he's got a lot of things that I think that if you needed to, it wouldn't be a case of going, oh my God, you need to be ball dominant in this game, so that means we have to play Pau Torres if we would sign somebody like this. You want to get somebody who can do 85% of what Pau Torres can do to be in this team, whether it be at right centre half or be at left centre half. And somebody like this does that. And I think this is very much going to be the profile that Unai Emery will look at. Maybe you bring this guy in here, as I said, beside Tyrone Mings, you push Ezri Konsa out the right back, and you've got Lee Matson at left back so he can bomb up and down that side. It's something that Unai Emery has done. I know that you guys can chat about it in the comments, and we're very much on, I suppose, on record as saying that if we don't have to play Ezri Konsa at right back, we wouldn't play Ezri Konsa at right back. We would look forward to seeing him at right centre half. But you bring somebody in like this, and I think that would be considered, I think, within Unai Emery's mind, because Unai Emery doesn't see a negative in playing Ezri Konsa out there, provided we've got the backup, or we've got somebody who can come in and give us something like Ezri Konsa can for that right centre half position. So he's a really, really interesting player. And one that I would advise you all to take a look at. Now, I did make some notes on him here, so apologies. I'm just going to pull them up here so I make sure that I haven't forgotten anything. So his strengths are, so definitely defensive solidity, contributed to 12 clean sheets last year. When he was in the team only conceded 18 goals from 27 games as well, made 40 tackles, 31 interceptions throughout the course of last year. Very early dominant, 6'4.5", as I said as well. His aerial dominance was crucial in Inzaghi's system, allowing very, very good at defending set pieces and long balls. Also was able to initiate attacks. What else have I in here? He scored 3 goals last year, provided 2 assists over the course of the season last year. An interesting one was he took 30 shots and had 7 on target last year as well. So I don't know if you want your centre halves to take shots, he took 30 of them last year and he had a 23% shot accuracy ratio. So I don't know whether you guys like that or not, but it's a statistic that I thought was interesting, because our centre halves certainly don't take shots. So I think his role as well, I think if he was to play in this Villa team, I think his role would extend beyond defending. And I've said that before, that, the commensurate ability that he has to Pau Torres as well. His ability to drift into midfield, to bring that play into midfield, like we saw Pau Torres stepping up into midfield at times last year. We saw Tyrone Mings doing it the year before. We haven't seen centre halves do that much in the year just gone, namely because there was a carousel there at centre half, but it allows him to move in there. It then allows our fullbacks to go wide and push higher as well. When he was in that back three, he would often get inverted, as we can see there, and become that defensive midfielder, essentially, if Inter needed to overload play. So if Villa did ever go to that, if they ever did want to do that, push him up into that central midfield position, maybe bring Ezri Konsa into in a bit narrower as well. There is a tactical versatility there to his game. I know Unai Emery hasn't shown a propensity to do that, to invert fullbacks well, I won't say he hasn't shown a propensity, but it's not his go-to to do. But once again, if you're trying to break low blocks, if you're trying to stifle teams there in the middle, and if you need to push bodies up to maybe to instigate, maybe you're bringing in maybe you want to instigate maybe more triangles in around that area so that you can pass through a lower mid block. It gives you that option to do it. It's not something that I would see happening an awful lot, but he definitely can do it, has done it for Inter as well before. Where else are we? He has been called up to the German national team in March 2025, and he did debut as a substitute in the UEFA Nations League game against Italy as well. Nagelsmann has been on record as saying that he has a real bright future, especially during Germany's rebuild of sorts, because I think that they've got quite a lot of good young talent coming up there as well. And now, obviously, with any player, there are some weaknesses as well. I think this guy as well, at 24 years of age, only having 1.5 real years of playing in Serie A. Obviously, he played in the Danish league prior to that, but positional awareness is something that he's going to need to come to terms with. Now, I said he's got great recovery speed as well, but just about that awareness, helping him, to having somebody like a Tyrone Mings that can talk him through games initially would be very good to have beside him, and on Ezri Konsa on the right hand side of him. So if you were to plonk him in there at right centre back, just in the Premier League, having two talkers, either one to the left, one to the right, I think would be very beneficial for him, just to get him up to speed at that positional awareness, because he's very, very quick. He's got a really long stride, and his recovery pace is really good. So sometimes as a young player, he relies on that. When he gets to the Premier League, he can still rely on that. We've seen defenders do that, like Mickey van de Ven is a notable one. At times, Virgil van Dijk has relied on his recovery pace as well. So it's not a non-negotiable that he can't just blow past his positional awareness issues and still be an incredible player. But you know, if he wants to be that rounded defender, he is going to need to have that little bit of coaxing. But again, he's a 24-year-old man who's got less than 10,000 minutes in professional football and less than 4,000 minutes in Serie A, which in one of Europe's top 5 leagues. So he still is on a learning curve. And that's why I think he will want to move, because he will want to expedite his learning curve, as opposed to staying maybe as that 3rd/4th centre half at Inter as well. Where else are we there? He had a slight injury, I think, if I remember rightly, where a thigh injury that led him to miss or that he got in the Champions League final, then that ended him meant that he had to miss out on some of the Nations League games as well. Yeah, so that's really it, I think, is his actually there was something else as well there, you know. And this, once again, he hasn't played an awful lot of games for Germany, so this is just something that stood out as well, is that because his primary role at Inter was a right-sided centre-back in a back three, he's then he goes to play for Germany, he's to play in a back four, because Nagelsmann plays in that back four as well. I'm not saying that he didn't, because he only came on as a substitute in March for Germany. So I've not seen an awful lot of him in a back four. So a lot of this is projection. So I've put that in as a weakness, because I'm an evidence-based guy. I like to see what I see, and I like to tell you guys what I see. And I haven't seen him play in a back four an awful lot. So for that reason, because the evidence isn't there for me to say that he absolutely 1,000,000% can play in a back four, or what he's like playing in a back four, I've put it in there as a weakness. Now, obviously, as I say, his speed is a huge asset, which will be beneficial in that back four. His passing ability, specifically in the short to medium distances, are very good. His long passing, he doesn't tend to do it an awful lot. And when he does do it, tends to be overhit, but I'm okay with that. I don't need to have two quarterbacks playing at centre half. I don't need to have any quarterback playing at centre half, to be honest with you. Leave that up to Yuri Tielemans. Leave that up to Boubacar Kamara if needed. I want my centre halves to be able to play short passes, no longer than 20 yards. Drill those passes into midfield. Not every centre half needs to be able to play that raking ball, so that's not a negative for me. I just need to see it more. Just really, really want to see it more, a small little bit. And as I say, it is difficult when you've got Bastoni, you've got Stefan de Vrij, you've got a Serbi in there as well, always playing in that Inter back line with that Inter back three. And then you've got Bisseck, who comes in whenever one of those are faltering in form. They're three really, really good centre halves. So, you know, that is something that he's had to deal with. He's dealt with it really well. He's been trusted a lot more this year just gone. And I think he will want to move on and play more week in, week out. And can Villa offer him that? I think that they will be able to shoehorn him into the team some way. And I don't mean that negatively, because as I said, this backline does need a small little bit of shuffling. Specifically, if Unai Emery does not trust those right back options that we have. I won't say do not trust, but I would say if he wants to fine-tune those right back positions, and as people here will know, I have said that Unai Emery has tried out umpteen different keys to unlock that right back position, and he still isn't finished there yet, albeit we do have 3 options currently at the team if we include Ezri Konsa in there. I suppose 4 if you include Lamar Bogart as well. So that's really it on that's really going to be it on Yann Bisseck also. So for anybody listening on audio, this is, I'm going to end this podcast right here. But for anybody on YouTube, stick around, because I do want to just test the, and I want to thank everybody listening to audio as well. Obviously, whether you're listening on the podcast platforms on Spotify or on Apple Music, really, really appreciate that. It's Don't forget that if you guys do only watch on YouTube, and you just please go and subscribe there. Kicks our numbers up there, and it really gets us in the algorithm. So thanks very much, everybody, for watching and listening in those podcast platforms. Now, for everybody in YouTube, I want to try once more. I thank you so much for your brilliant feedback on the live phone-in show that we did, the Villa event phone-in show. Obviously, we had a couple of teething problems when that first started, or when we were trying to get that started. I have fixed quite a lot of those gremlins. There's also other things I wasn't too happy with when that was going out, when the show was on previously, because it was calling out numbers as things were coming in. I want to see if I fixed all that kind of stuff, those little teething problems that we've had. So with that in mind, could I maybe get you guys, so if there is somebody that is willing to come in and chat, and we've got no topic for this, we can just talk about anything if you guys want to ask me any questions. I'm going to open up the phone line now. And if you guys, calls from WhatsApp only, please. But the number is shown up here on the screen. It's +353 89 217 7440. So if somebody wants to be my guinea pig so that we can try this out to make sure that I have these little gremlins sorted out, so that we can maybe, as news is filtering in over the next few weeks, it's 11 days. In 11 days' time, we will see the first team will be out in action against Walsall, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, on Monday we will see people report back for gym work. So the season is upon us. The season is upon us. So if anybody is willing, and I know we've got a smaller group than normal watching in today, but that's cool. That's no problem. If anybody wanted to give us a shout in. We have somebody who is calling through here now. I'm just going to answer and try and pop you on the line. Oh, hello. Can you hear me, caller? Oh no. Oh no. I don't think you can hear me, because I can't hear you. And there was me thinking I had these. That's why. Is it? No. Stay on the line, caller. I'm going to try and keep you here as a guinea pig, please, while I disconnect and try and reconnect this and see if I can, if we can get this solved while I have you here on the line. I don't know if you can hear me, but if you can, stay where you are, and we will try and get this resolved as soon as possible. Because this is the same issue that we had the last time, where things look like they were connected. And I think you can hear me now. And I think people on the other end can hear me too.
I can hear you just fine.
Excellent. Excellent. Because I think I now know what the issue is. Who am I speaking to? And are you over the age of 18? Get the legalities out of the way, first of all.
A little bit over the age of 18, yeah. 41, buddy.
Excellent. British Mick. How are you?
It is. Nothing. All right, buddy.
Excellent. That is brilliant. I'm delighted I got it. I now know what the issue is, and we may need to do that little bit of jiggery pokery I did there every time the first person calls through. So that is good. How are you keeping, sir? Are you well?
Very well, thank you, buddy. Enjoying the pod as per usual.
Thanks.
I got a lot to say, really. I was just going to help you out, like I was the chat the other day when you was having that bit of a mare at the trying to get it working and all set up in the last one you did. So yeah, I'm absolutely great. I do like that player that you am currently discussing. He does look like a really good defender. He definitely passes the eye test anyway.
Excellent. Yeah, I like him. I like when I've seen him. His statistics marry up, and I suppose realistically, that's all you can really do. And look, I know as well, for a lot of people that look, as like the transfer window can be really tiring. Like, to be honest with you, there's been a lot of fun taken out of the transfer market because of the 15 or 20 tweets a day that will happen from certain accounts, just referencing Emmy Martinez tied his shoelaces. Emmy Martinez on Instagram was spotted doing this. And, things like that. It kind of wears a lot of people down. Do you find that, Mick? We're the same age. Yeah. Even 5 years ago, the transfer window was pretty enjoyable for me. This year, I've started muting players' names. I'll be honest with you, on Twitter, so that I just don't really care what goes on until big stuff happens, and someone will tell me when big stuff happens. Do you kind of find that too?
Yeah, that's exactly my thoughts on it. To be honest with you, Neil. I've always been that one who's watching the the final day, who's coming in, who's coming out. I pretty much don't really pay too much attention until it gets to that, the crunch time. Because like you said, there's just a lot of links and you've got no real, there's no real solid links in my opinion. And plus you don't really know what Unai is trying to do. We could all be thinking he's going to fill in a certain position, and really he's got no plans on even playing the way that we all believe or think he's going to play, if you know what I mean. So basically, like for instance, I think, and it's just my opinion, that if he does get this lad who you've been discussing in today, he might be possibly looking at playing three at the back. But I don't think Mings will feature. I think he'll play Pau on the left. He'll have Konza in the middle, and he'll have that new lad on the right-hand side with the wingers filling in defence, tracking back into defence. So that's what I think he'll be doing. They'll probably have Matson on the left-hand side and right-hand side, I don't know, take your pick really. Definitely wouldn't be Cash. Well, I don't think it would be Cash. It would be, it could be open to debate on that one really.
Yeah, you know me, I've been, I think even since the time of Dean Smith, I've always wanted Villa to have a right go at three at the back. And I remember they did it. They played Chelsea, I think it was, and put it this way, I was on location the same day. I was drinking pints to beat the band down in a place called Mike the Poison, Listowel in County Kerry, and I was away for the weekend with a couple of lads, and I remember Villa played three at the back and they had a fine first half for like 43 minutes, and I think Lukaku scored and Villa ended up losing 3-0 and they had a dire second half, if I remember rightly. And every time we went to three at the back then, even historically under Unai Emery, it's never really worked. But it's something that I think the modern game lends its hand to, is three at the back, but it takes a bloody hell of a lot of work to work it into in mid-season. It's not something you can just turn the light bulb on and say, right, we're playing three at the back, guys, because we've got three good centre halves. The whole dichotomy of how Tielemans works, how Boubacar Kamara works, and the wing backs, as you say. But like you, it's something that I wouldn't rule out happening, albeit I've seen no evidence that it's going to actually happen from Unai Emery on a continuous basis since he's been in the team. But yeah, it would be interesting to see what happens. Absolutely interesting to see what happens there as well, Mick. Is there anybody else? Like, I know we've had no massive links, but is there anybody, like, going back to what we were talking about the last time? The links to players on the way out as well seems to have dried up. Do you think that we're going to keep a lot of the players that we have already? Do you think there's going to be? I know that we've satisfied PSR, but I think it was Percy said today that there might be a. I think I might have lost Mick, because my phone. I think I might have lost you, Mick, but I did actually, because something different has happened here, and this is a me mistake, not a gremlin mistake here at all. So I've been talking to myself there for a moment, so I'll get the lines back up there in a moment again while I get this issue sorted here. But thanks very much, Mick, for that. Big Matthew says here as well, the constant talk of PSR and SCR etc. are killing the transfer window for me. It's all money first, recruiting second, and yeah, I think we have to agree with that too. The very moneyed nature of this as well is kind of killing the transfer window and the fun of the transfer window. Now, then again, there's going to be people out there that will be saying, what does a 40-year-old man, why should a 40-year-old man be like a child at Christmas when it comes to transfer window? And I will go to say, why not? Why do people have to grow up to that amount if they have to be curdled inside about football transfers? It's a bit of crack at the end of the day, and as Jurgen Klopp once said, it's the most important to the least important things at times. And so it's I hope that there's a rebalance, I suppose, really. And look, I suppose with engagement posts and what you call it, sorry, there was somebody ringing through there and I completely missed it. Mick was ringing through there again and I completely missed it. There we go. I think this might be it. Hello. Oh, let me just connect this up here. Hello there.
How you doing now?
I'm very good. Who am I speaking to? And are you over the age of 18?
Just about, mate. Just about.
Excellent. How can I help you? What do we want to talk about?
Nothing really, just testing the system.
Brilliant.
I watched it the other night, and as I commented, it was a bit like comedy gold early on. My name's Dave, by the way.
Dave.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I've watched your show for ages, and I really appreciate it, mate. You and Paddy.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. I mean, that means a lot because, like, I've said it a million times before, but the two of us, we literally do this this is our way of getting out of the house, if that makes sense. You know, so, and look, I've no problem with anybody doing this for a living and stuff like that. And that's, look, 100% everybody's, it's a free world to do whatever you want. But this is a great way for me to kind of stay, I suppose. This is like going for a good run for me. You know, people do that for their health wise and straighten out their head. Sometimes this helps me as well. So thanks very much for always listening, Dave. Really appreciate it.
No worries. I do love these little insights on the players that you do. We don't always end up picking them up, you know, getting them in the team, but it's, you know, I'll be honest, I haven't got the time to go in depth like you do, although I do keep a finger on the pulse with everything.
Yeah.
But I do find them really, really good, so keep them coming.
And do you know what it is, Dave? Is like, the only reason I do these as well is because I have done some scouting courses before. I've no interest in being, well, put it this way. If Aston Villa knocked on my door and said, do you want to sit at home and watch videotape all day of these players and give us your opinions on them and we'll pay you handsomely to do it, I would say, absolutely, I will do it. But I don't have any aspiration to be a scout or anything like that. But the biggest thing for me is that when I watch players or when you know, when you look at them, is this, sometimes the stats lie or sometimes the footage lies. And your bias gets in the way, and my bias gets in the way 9 times out of 10. So that's why I will always mostly have a positive slant on players, because you know, a lot of it is projection when they come into a team, and you know, you like, I couldn't say for certain that somebody's going to be absolutely horrendous in the league. Now, well, maybe depending on the player, maybe you could, but yeah, it's a labor of love, put it that way.
Yeah. I've got to be honest with you know, at 70 odd years of age, I've seen quite a few Villa teams, players come in, and I do sit back a little bit from and watch people comment on players. I've done it myself. You know, you don't take to them straight away. You got to be. I hope I'm strong enough, and I've said to people, "Oh, he's a crap player," you know, and you see him down Villa Park shouting at him and God knows what. But yeah. If they do settle in and that you know, turn the corner, then give them the credit they deserve. But you've got to give the players a chance when they first come in. You know, that's my opinion anyway.
Yeah, and I agree. So, I absolutely agree.
Yeah. All right, then I'll get off the line and let somebody else.
Before you go, Dave, what player in your time of supporting Villa came into the club and you were like, oh my God, we've got him, he's going to be absolutely brilliant, and never really materialized to be as good as you thought?
Oh, never materialized.
Yeah.
Oh, the famous one is Jemba.
Okay.
You know, but the one that stands out for me was when we bought Ken McNaught from Everton many years ago.
Yeah.
And when he first came in, I used to say he can't run, his knees are tied together. But as we all know, him and Alan Evans formed a great partnership.
Yeah, absolutely did. Yeah, absolutely did. For sure. Dave, thanks so much for ringing in. That's absolutely fantastic to chat to you. You're absolutely gentleman. Hopefully you ring in again in the future. Excellent.
Okay, then. Cheers, mate.
Mind yourself.
A bit. Up the Villa.
Up the Villa is right. Anybody else want to give a shout in there while I've got this open, while I can test it, because I'm 99% sure. And thanks so much, British Mick, as well. And you didn't get my phone cut you off. It was a me issue, so I apologize for that. Because I was chatting away to myself there for a while and I didn't know. By the way, just about that guy that we were talking about there, Yann Bisseck, he is a qualified doctor. Sorry, he didn't fully go through. He did the there we go. We've got somebody coming in there. I will pop them up on here in a moment. I'll just finish what I was saying there firstly, but he studied medicine before he went into football. Hello, caller. How are you doing?
How are you doing?
I'm doing really well.
John Steele here.
John, how's things?
Not too bad at all. Not too bad at all. Love the podcast.
Well, the connection I have here works in County Limerick anyway, so we know that we can get all the Limerick lads on from now on.
It works in the Great Black Swan.
Brilliant, a fine pub. I've drank many pints in that bar run by the Nicholases. Yeah, absolutely have.
It's wonderful.
Sure.
No, the thing I wanted to talk about was like we all know, like every football organisation is just idiotic. But UEFA fining us, like I know Chelsea got a worse fine, but fining us because they're worried about our finances is a bit fucking stupid. Sorry, mind my language. It's a bit stupid. It's like removing the brakes of your car because they're worried about you speeding. It's look, it's better than not being able to compete in the competition or getting a points deduction for us because I don't think we're stuck for money. But like the whole thing just seems geared towards the bigger clubs, and it's
absolutely, John. Like, I can't disagree with you there at all. And it's interesting the numbers that were pulled. For me, it was interesting. Now, obviously, there was a lot more teams this year that got fined.
Yeah.
But it's interesting the conditional and unconditional fines that have happened has been rather interesting, I think, for me. But obviously Chelsea got fined as well, and I know that this is a Villa show and stuff like that. But like it's mega money that they got fined.
26.5 million or something. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, but potentially it could go up to like nearly 70 million. The unconditional fines. And what I found interesting is, and I'm going to butcher this, John, because I should really have made notes in this because, as I was reading through it. The conditional parts of it, Villa have agreed over a 3-year period to have whatever they've agreed with. So no one knows what the agreement was, but we've got a 3-year runway. Chelsea have actually had to agree over a 4-year runway, and UEFA are not confident that they'll actually be able to make it within 4 years. So Villa are confident they'll actually make it by the start of this year, never mind in 3 years' time. Villa are 2 years and Chelsea. Villa are 2 years and Chelsea are 3 years. Sorry, that's the way it is. But Villa are confident they'll make it by the start of this year. UEFA aren't confident that Chelsea will make it in 3 years' time. So it's going to be interesting to see what comes of that in the future.
Yeah, well, I think something like 250 grand would have been a wrap in the knuckles. It's just like if they're going to allow you to compete, like why are they? Like, and the other question I had is that 9.5 million go on your book for the following season? So you kind of have to make up another 9.5 million to satisfy it anyway.
Do you know what we'll do, John? We'll use Dr. Google to sort this one out. Actually, I was going. I won't because I was going to try and pull up Roma's accounts for 2022-23, I think it was, and see if. But then again, listen, it would genuinely take me an hour and a half to be able to decipher where that money was in there. So I won't do it, but I don't know the answer to that. I don't know the answer.
I suppose for SCR it probably doesn't because it's your
correct
squad cost ratio.
Yeah.
But like from a financial or whatever it's called this week, the financial fair play or the PSR. Will it count into that?
Yeah,
because like it seems like it's a nice chunk of money to try and. I know it's probably an academy player, but it's still, I just don't get why. Like that's a large fine.
Do you sorry, I just googled it there just to see. Do you know what? If in doubt, ChatGPT it and see, and they've come back.
Absolutely,
they've come back and they've said that there's no answer to it. They don't know. So it's
beating AI.
Just with everything else, John, it's as clear as mud. Clear as mud. Everything else with UFS is clear as mud. So yeah, I don't know. I know that obviously it will be on the balance sheet for the club, so I would imagine it would in PSR from a PSR point of view. But who knows?
That's like what they're both either organization isn't talking to each other. Like that should be a unified thing. That.
Yeah,
it doesn't count, whatever. But before I go, just thank you for the Paul McGrath thing. That was unbelievable. I give up the Pesh Mode tickets to go. They were playing that night.
They were,
and I said, no, I've got to go to this. So,
I met.
Yeah, and
I met Carl. You know, there's a comedian, Carl Spain. Well, obviously you know Carl Spain. But for people listening in, especially people in the US, there's a comedian here in Ireland called Carl Spain. He lives in Limerick, and I actually met him the night of the Paul McGrath gig, and he came up to me. He's not even a Villa fan, but he came up to me and said, "You were doing a podcast there with Paul McGrath," and I said, "Yeah, that was me." Jesus, how do you know about him? And he's an encyclopedic knowledge of football, Carl Spain. It's actually it's incredible. I stood there for an hour talking to him. But anyway, he had tickets for the McGrath gig, and he couldn't go because family members came over at the last minute and dragged him off to see a Neil Young tribute band in Dolan's. So he said he had good fun at that, but he would have way better fun at McGrath. So I sat there spent an hour talking to him, and that man's football knowledge, I have not seen anything like it. He remembers everything. So he is some man for one man. Yeah. So another story about
nice one.
John, thanks for calling in. Absolutely.
Take
Thanks a million. Mind yourself.
Bye.
All the best. Bye-bye. Anybody else want to call in before I tie a bow on this one? I'm glad this is working. It seems to be working a lot better than it was last day. Although has come back to announcing that there's phone calls coming in. I don't know if you guys can hear that. So I need to turn that functionality off at some stage again, because but this has been good. Oh, there we go. We have somebody calling in, and we're going to end the night with why can't this? There was me thinking that everything was going to go smoothly, but it looks like my gremlins have came back again, which is interesting. Stay on the line there, Kev, and we will get you connected here. That's very interesting now. What's happening there? Maybe I can't get you reconnected here. Oh, that should. Second. At least I know what the issue is here anyway this time. Sorry, Kev. I think we should be getting thereabouts. Once again, this is to do with what I did earlier on when I was with British Mick, when I was messing around. So, and I can't disconnect you from here. Okay, I don't think I'm actually going to be able to get you back on here, but I know what the issue is, so we'll be able to rectify it for future. So sorry about that, Kev. I don't think I'll actually be able to get you connected up. So I'll end the call here if that's all right. But call in the next time. Thanks for helping me out here with these things. I was actually trying to break it at times here as well. So I'm glad to know that I was able to break it and know how I broke it as well. So thanks a million. Carrie, I know Carrie's calling through here as well. I think I can't actually get you routed through the system here, unfortunately. But so I'm just going to decline there for a moment, guys. And I think we're going to draw a line under this one. I'm sorry, that was the same as well last time, Carrie. But I'm trying here to disconnect the system to reconnect it again, and it doesn't want to disconnect. But I know why it doesn't want to disconnect, because I've it set up to do that, so I can fix that again afterwards. Listen, thanks so much to everybody who called in, and I presume that's you, Curry, because it was an American number that was calling through there, so apologies. Right, guys, I'm going to leave you go at that. Thanks a million for that. For anybody who's listening back to this, or if you want to listen back to this, if you missed the start of it, I'll probably cut this part out at the end of it with a bit of messing. But thanks a million for everybody for helping me with to iron out those gremlins. We will be back if there's any news. I'm hoping to do a piece on Monday with Paddy and with Jay White again. But keep an eye out on socials for anything. We'll be back very, very soon. But thanks a million for your time, and thanks a million for helping me out tonight. Stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.